Hello and welcome to Creator Weekly for July 20th, 2025. I'm Peggy Kay. This is a slightly later edition than usually. Had a little family emergency this morning, but everything's fine now. So if you're here live, thank you for joining me. I know the folks who usually come here live probably can't join now, but that's fine. If you have any comments or questions, you can post them in the comments. So let me get started. This week, there are updates for YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, Twitch, Reddit, and a bunch more. So we're going to start with YouTube, though. So this week, YouTube is expanding Hype to 19 additional countries, including India, Indonesia, Mexico, and a bunch of countries in the EU, but not every country in the EU. And what exactly is Hype? I saw some questions about this. Hype launched last year just in Turkey, Brazil, and Taiwan. And the idea is that fans can click the button to hype a particular video that they really like. That gives the video a certain number of points. And then there is a country-specific leaderboard. And the more hype points, the higher the video is on the leaderboard. It's for channels that have between 500 and 500,000 subscribers. And channels with fewer subscribers, they get some kind of bonus. So it should sort of even out the playing field a little bit. And the top hyped videos get a special badge. This is only for new videos. You can only hype a video that was published in the past week. So this is not old videos. This is just recent videos. Hyping a video is free. I think you can do it 3 times per week. And in some places, they're testing letting people pay to hype more often. So look at the list of video places where hype is available now at no cost and for cost. It's available in Brazil and Turkey. At no cost, it is now available in Austria, Belgium, Bulgaria, Cyprus, Czechia, France, Germany, Greece, Hungary, India, Indonesia, Italy, Luxembourg, Mexico, Poland, Portugal, Romania, Slovakia, Spain, and Taiwan. Say that 10 times fast. So if you're in one of those countries, you should keep an eye out for the option to hype your favorite videos, and maybe they will get on the hype leaderboard. Also in YouTube news this week, YouTube is starting to test ABC title testing. So one of the things that YouTube launched is thumbnail testing, where you can compare 3 thumbnails, and YouTube runs all 3 thumbnails simultaneously. Whichever one ends up giving your video the most watch time is the winner. But the downside of that is a lot of times the title and the thumbnail go together, right? They kind of go as a pair to advertise the video. So they are adding title testing. It's a much requested feature. Right now, it's just a tiny percentage of creators who have access to it. And you may notice some big creators, if they have access, that maybe the title looks different times you see their video recommended. This will probably take a while for it to roll out more broadly, but keep an eye on it. All right, switching over to Twitch. They added something they call Subfeeds for clips. So these are basically categories for clips in the Twitch mobile app. What are clips? Clips are there to help discovery, mostly, I think. The idea is there's a live stream. It's hard to discover live streams because unless they're for hours and hours, it's just good luck a lot of times that you see them when they're live. So that Twitch is encouraging fans and creators to create clips from streams of their favorite moments. Those clips can be shared. You can actually share a clip to TikTok or YouTube Shorts, and it gets republished there, and it has information about the Twitch channel that it originally came from. So in the Twitch mobile app, there are now these little buttons at the top you can see in the screenshot there. They let you filter the clips feed so that, for example, you can just see clips from one particular game. So take a look at that if you watch videos in the Twitch app. Now I'm going to switch over to Facebook. Now, one of the things that has been a problem on Facebook for many years, over a decade, are accounts that basically just republish other people's content. And they get a lot of followers on their page usually, and they can use that to spam people or sell things or do what they do. Facebook says they are now taking strong measures to crack down on unoriginal content. What is unoriginal content? That is content that reuses or repurposes another creator's content repeatedly without crediting them, taking advantage of their creativity and hard work. Facebook says they love reaction videos, they love people who participate in trends, but they want you to have meaningful enhancements on whatever it is that you are sharing. So what happens if you violate this policy? If you repeatedly reuse someone else's photos, videos, or text, you can lose access to monetization, although it makes it sound like this is just a temporary suspension. And what you share may have reduced distribution, so it won't get recommended to people. They are also trying to reduce distribution of duplicate videos so that creators can get the visibility they deserve. And they're working on a system to add attribution to the original creator. It's not clear to me how they figure out who the original creator is, because a lot of times creators don't necessarily publish first to Facebook. And a lot of these pages and profiles that are reusing other people's content are taking it from TikTok or YouTube or other sources. But it seems like this should at least slow down some of those accounts that are just regurgitating other people's hard work. Will it discourage them? It kind of depends on the enforcement. If you think that this might have affected your page or profile on Facebook, you can go to the Facebook support page. It shows your account information, account status, and monetization status. And there's also tips from Facebook for creators to ensure the post reach isn't limited. So if you have the professional dashboard, you can see this about your specific posts on Facebook. They want you to post original content, of course, make meaningful enhancements. They're saying creative editing, a voiceover, commentary, that sort of thing, not just compiling a bunch of clips. Tell a story, don't post super short clips, don't post content with third-party watermarks. That means if you download from TikTok, say, there's a TikTok watermark. Yeah, don't do that. And don't just crop out the watermark, because you know what you're doing is wrong. And then in the captions, post only relevant captions with no links and no more than 5 hashtags. No links kind of sucks if you're using this to promote your content elsewhere. They just want native content. So this puts Facebook's monetization policy more in line with YouTube, for example. They have their reused content policy recently renamed the inauthentic content policy. And that's, again, emphasizing monetized content should be original. So I'm going to take a moment and say hello to Rose Bunny, who is in the chat. Thank you for joining me today. I'm glad you could. I was hoping somebody would show it. If you have any questions or comments, you can post in the live chat. I'd love to hear what folks think about this week's updates. So switching gears over to LinkedIn. LinkedIn is becoming a real creator platform. Of course, the audience and tone is different. What you post to LinkedIn is probably not going to be quite the same thing that you post to YouTube or to TikTok. Maybe it is. But they are testing highlighting trends in the video feed. This is just available to US users right now, but you may see a trend buttons at the top of the feed. You can tap that and see basically other videos that are using this trend and maybe get inspired by that. They listed the current trends, which seem very LinkedIn: side hustle guide, email sign-offs, work-life balance, a day in the life. So that's the kind of thing that does well on LinkedIn. And I'll recommend the LinkedIn article that announced this. And they have some tips for crafting verbal hooks that will get people to watch. So this is what you say at the very, very beginning of your video to kind of draw people in. There's some good tips there. And there's links in this week's newsletter and blog post. There are links to that in the video description. You can also sign up for my newsletter. It comes out every Saturday. Get all the links and news in your inbox for free. So check that out. So over on Instagram, oh, I'm sorry. This isn't quite Instagram. Over in Edits. Now, Edits is the video editing app from Instagram. It's free to use. It doesn't have a watermark. You can use it to edit your videos on your mobile device and then upload those wherever you want. One of the updates they had this week, I think is great, is royalty-free music. So you can add music without having to worry about copyright issues, which is nice. It's especially complicated when you're using popular music because music is licensed differently on different platforms. So that is a reason to use the built-in video editor on Instagram, on TikTok, for YouTube Shorts, so that you can add the copyrighted music in a way that is permitted through the licensing. But this royalty-free music you should be able to use anywhere. Although there should be more details, I think, about how you can use it if you use the app. They also have a couple of other updates. You can use keyframes with stickers and text and cutouts and stickers. Keyframes let you animate things in a precise way. So you basically say, here's where it should begin, here's where it should end, and it will animate that automatically. There's also new voice effects. So it's interesting how Edits is getting a lot of new updates seemingly every week. Meta really wants to make this a CapCut alternative, and CapCut has a lot of features. So I haven't actually really used it yet. I'm using mostly on desktop, but on mobile, I use the YouTube Create app. That's only Android and not available in every country, but if you have it, you might check it out. Now, over on Instagram, there's an update where creators that have a public profile and at least 1,000 followers can now use trial reels. Before it was much more limited availability. And the idea is that you have a reel and you upload that, you choose to make it a trial reel, and it is not pushed out to the people who follow you. It does not show on your profile. It kind of lets you test how well this reel does when it is shown to a broader audience beyond your usual followers. And one thing I've heard is that some creators are using this as a growth hack where they upload their older reels that they've already uploaded, maybe a few years ago. They re-upload those as trial reels, and they're shown to a whole new audience, and this can get you a lot of new followers. It seems to be permitted. Of course, it could go away at any time, but if you're trying to build your audience on Instagram and you have at least 1,000 followers already, you might give trial reels a try. If you want, you can always flip those trial reels into a regular public reel that your followers see. And in theory, it's to say, oh, how well does this do before you launch it to your fans. I don't fully understand the reasoning behind that, but it's worth giving it a shot if you have that option. And then on TikTok, they launched TikTok Songwriter features. So if you are a songwriter, you can apply for a songwriter account. That adds a songwriter label on your profile and a special music tab so you can highlight videos with the songs that you wrote. Right now, this is currently available to just a limited number of songwriters in a closed beta. That's usually by invite, but there is a waitlist form that you can fill out. So if you're a songwriter, you should check this out. Seems like a good way to highlight your creativity, even if you're not the singer or the musician. I'm going to have a sip of water here. So those are the video updates this week. Just a few more smaller updates on social media. This is on Discord. They launched Orbs. And what is an orb? It's basically like points that you can earn. They have quests, and you follow the quest, and then you get orbs in return. The kinds of things that are quests are watching movie trailers or video game trailers so far. So not difficult to get it. It's obviously to get people to watch these trailers and maybe do other tasks in the future. And then once you have orbs, you can use them in the Discord store. You can use them for a limited Nitro access. Nitro is Discord's paid subscription where you get more space for uploads, server boosts, special badges and things. And that's great. Or you can use your orbs to purchase avatar decorations, profile effects, that sort of thing. So these are just digital decorations, but you don't have to pay any money. You just have to follow the quests, watching trailers and that. So that's over on Discord. And a note that on Reddit, UK users will now have to go through age verification to access mature content. This is to be in compliance with the UK Online Safety Act, which I guess just started being enforced. Age verification is through a third party called Persona. Persona is used by a lot of companies. It's used by LinkedIn for identity verification, and Google AdSense just started allowing identity verification in some places through Persona. So this is a standard third-party platform used for identity verification. The idea is that You have your age verified, but that information, the details aren't ever given to Reddit. All they get is a thumbs up, thumbs down, yes, over 18, no, not over 18. There are questions in the comments on this post about whether it's GDPR compliant, and that sounds like it's something for the attorneys. I mean, Persona says it is GDPR compliant, of course. Other people say no because various things in the privacy policy. Yeah, I don't know. But if you're in the UK and you're trying to watch something that's labeled mature, you may be prompted to verify your age. And I suspect this is going to come to other countries as well as countries roll out some of these new laws about minors having access. Now, YouTube, for example, has been doing this for a while. I think at least since last year, maybe 2 years ago, in the UK, and I think maybe also in the EU, where people try to access 18 plus content and then they're prompted to go through some sort of age verification. It's going to happen more and more. And it is a concern, who's storing this information? Who knows? So switching over to web publishers. So you don't make videos necessarily, but if you are on the web, Beehiiv, which is primarily a newsletter platform, they have a slick new web builder. It's out of beta and available to everyone, even free accounts. The idea is that you can make this a newsletter archive. You can use it. You can make landing pages, promote events. You can embed podcasts, and it's pretty sweet. It kind of blurs the line between what is a newsletter, what is a blog. I'm not sure there's really a clear boundary between the two. But if you're thinking of making a website or a newsletter, you might check out Beehiiv because this seems like it's pretty user-friendly. And I should note that I use Beehiiv for my newsletter. So I'm using it for that. I'm not using the web builder. I have a separate site, but it works great for newsletters too. I'm on the free tier. It's better than Substack, I think, because Substack, if you decide to switch to paid newsletters, Substack always takes 10% no matter what. For Beehiiv, you do have to pay, but it's a flat amount. So if you're successful, you're actually paying a lot less to Beehiiv than you would be to Substack. And then this week's last update, Google Search Console now shows discussion forum rich results as a search appearance. This is if you have your own discussion forum. Basically, if you have a discussion forum website and you're using this schema markup for discussion forum rich results, you'll see that data in Search Console. It's not for social media sites. It's not for things that are effectively blogs where the site owner is posting articles. It's not for user reviews. It's very specific, and Google has lots of documentation. The reason to use this is that it helps Google understand the content on the site. I don't think it helps you rank any higher, but it's good for the information. So those were the major creator updates this week. I wanted to now take a look at what was happening 10 years ago in 2015. As I've noted in this series, interesting times, and I will mention that I do cut these segments into shorts. If you just want the 1-minute recap, you should check my channel Shorts tab. There's a playlist there. You can get it really quick without me rambling on. So 10 years ago this week, YouTube launched a major redesign of its mobile app. And this is using screenshots that they published at the time. There was a home tab with recommendations based on your watch history. There's a subscriptions tab where, of course, there's new content for your subscriptions. And this was the time that they launched the notification bell. Ring that bell, you get notified when a channel you're subscribed to posts new content. So this was launched 10 years ago this week, and it's become part of the YouTube meta, I guess you would call it, where everyone says, be sure to subscribe and ring the bell. That's where it came from. And then there was a new account tab that had your playlists, your videos, your watch history, all that account information. Also, this was the first time you could watch full screen vertical video with just a single tap. And then they added a very basic video editor into the app where you could trim the ends of a clip, you could add some filters, you could add music. So what does that look like from 10 years in the future? Looking back, this is really part of the shift to mobile, where 2015 seems to have been sort of a tipping point where we have so many launches, assuming people are using mobile devices. There's this Mobilegeddon where Google started indexing the mobile version of websites. We had mobile live streaming with Meerkat and Periscope. Mobile, and YouTube is in on this trend. At the time, YouTube said there was 50% of their views were from mobile devices. So that was pretty significant. Now, of course, since then, of course, there have been changes to the mobile app. There have been a lot of new features. In 2016, YouTube announced mobile live streaming from the app. They were sort of behind a bunch of other platforms, but that was the trend. And then in 2020, they launched YouTube Shorts. That came with its own editor, of course, and that has a lot more bells and whistles than the original mobile video editor, where you can use a green screen, you can put together clips, you can add stickers, all kinds of things like that. And more recently, there have been a lot of updates for managing your videos for your channel right in the mobile app. But I think what's interesting is if 2015 was the shift to mobile, 2025 is the shift to television. Just this year, YouTube announced that TV has surpassed mobile and is the primary device where people watch YouTube, at least in the US, by watch time. So I imagine 10 years from now, we'll still be using our phones or whatever replaces them for recording videos and editing videos, but watching may all be on the big screens. So that's all the updates this week. Thank you so much for joining me. I will see you all next Sunday. Thanks again.